This is WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM. We have at WZRD today 3 guests from PRIDE. PRIDE stands for Partners of Refugees in Illinois Disability Employment. And the guests that we have from PRIDE today are Abla, the peer mentor, Tedros, a participant and a refugee in PRIDE, and also Katheryn Duke, who was a guest previously, and she is the program manager of PRIDE. Welcome, everybody.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
me.
How did the two of you, Tedros and Abla, how did you become involved with PRIDE? And what was your understanding of PRIDE the first time you heard of it?
Hello, this is Abla.
Mm-hmm.
The way I heard about the program PRIDE is I used to attend a program in University of Illinois Chicago, which is called LEND, that stands for Leadership, Education, and Neurodevelopment. And through the program, my mentor, Jaychin, he recommended I join PRIDE and gave me Ruji and Katheryn Duke information. He thought I would be a good fit because they need an interpreter for Arabic, for the Arabic speakers.
And what about you, Tedros?
Thank you. Actually, I learned about PRIDE through my vocational rehab counselor. He told me about this program. Actually, he didn't have a better idea of what PRIDE could be. He just knew that there is a program at UIC called PRIDE, and he asked me if I'm interested. And honestly, I was very interested no sooner than I learned about this program,
Mm-hmm.
because it's my strong conviction that academic institutions like UIC have always been at the forefront in changing many things and improving the quality of life
Mm-hmm.
of people, especially people with disabilities. So that's why I was really interested, and it didn't take us long to start working together with both Dr. Roshi Hasnain and also Katheryn Duke. I'm really impressed with their initiative.
Yes, thank you. Tedros, did you find a mentor in the course of your involvement with PRIDE? And if so, how does this mentor inspire you, and how do you both work together?
The best mentors I have are Katheryn Duke as well as Dr. Roshi.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem like you are working with a program or a project, and that really makes it interesting. It's like you are a family, and they are really interested. They are open whenever you want to send them an email, when you want to text them or even call them, as long as they are available, as long as they don't have any other engagement. And mind you, they are working with a lot of people who have different issues, who are actually, who are aspiring, I would say, people who want to become placed in different gainful employments, or even who want to improve their education, finally leading towards employment. Just taking the previous 2 cohorts, I would say, I'm not sure, I would say probably they are working with around 30 people or so. This is just my estimate. So it's not really easy, trying to listen to everyone's issue and trying to help everyone deal with their problems. It means a lot. It's very inspiring.
Yes, it seems as if they're available for you, and in order to have that availability with 30 people, that is hard. So that is very, very impressive. Abla, how many PRIDE participants do you mentor, and how do you meet with them? How available are you to your mentees?
So I would say probably worked with about 27 mentees. And as far as how available, they're able to call me and contact me whenever they want if they have any questions. And I would say I primarily help with the Arabic speaker mentees.
Oh, so do you do translating more than you do advice, or it's kind of even?
I would say kind of even.
Well, that helps, that you help get the load off of Rusi and Katheryn a bit.
I would say I help, but they do the most of the work. They're great.
Tedros, just describe the program to our listeners.
This is actually the first of its kind This is an Illinois-based initiative, and honestly, it means a lot. For every new arrival in the U.S., people who are resettled to the U.S. like me, or arriving here, the first thing you learn is that you have to work hard once you arrive in the U.S., and you still need to, even if it's an entry-level job. But the point is, being a person with disability, how do you do that? You don't really know, where to start, or even how to get connected with different resources, employment agencies, or referral agencies. So a program like Pride means a lot. Of course, Pride in itself is not an employment provider, but it shows you how to become employed or how to further your education. What I want to say is refugees with disabilities come from different parts of the world, and they have different experiences. Some come from conflict-ridden regions. Some come from conservative societies where disability is viewed as a curse or as something bad. Of course, I would say this is a universal thing. It's not something that's ascribed to specific societies, but there are some prejudices or what have you in one or other form related to disability. Refugees arrive here, I would say, kind of being in the dark about their future. They don't really know what to do. They don't really know. We all do not really know where to start. So a program like Pride means a lot. It shows you the way. It helps you become hooked up with different agencies, services, or even resources so that you can get to your feet. You can get on your feet. So honestly, I'm short of words. It's been 3 years since this program was launched. It's a pilot program, but we really need to work together to see this program become a success.
Well, it sounds to me that it is a success because
it is a success. I mean, I needed to see just continuing forever, not just a short-term program, but it should be something just working in perpetuity, just working better and better and improving so that it can expand its scope, so that it can embrace people with disabilities in all walks of life. That's what I wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a success story.
Yes. Abla, what kind of help do your mentees need from you the most?
I think the most would be the issue of housing. They're all looking for affordable housing as they come, for different foreign countries, and they come here and they're looking for employment. So it's really hard to pay, the expensive rent over here in Chicago. But I would say that's the most concern of theirs. And also, there's a lot of them who have wheelchairs and they need personal caregivers, so they want to hook up with DRS in order to get that services for personal caregivers and, DME, which is durable medical equipments. I'm able to help with that because a person who identifies with a disability, and I use a wheelchair, and I also have a son who had a stroke. So I have experience with DRS as well. So I know how to navigate these problems.
It is very hard to find affordable housing. How do you help the participants find affordable housing?
Well, I'm also contact with Access Living, and they have for affordable housing. So, I get the list and call around and calling the important places, and they point me out to the places that have open waiting lists.
How long do they have to wait, and are they able to find shelter? Are the refugees?
That's the frustrating part. It takes a while. The process takes a while because there's waiting lists, and it takes it's a process that takes a long time, and the participants get frustrated sometimes.
Do they have shelter meanwhile, right?
Yes, I do. I hope so.
I see.
And they have to go to different organizations sometimes for help with support with the rent because they have families, children.
Yes, and you're able to help with all
and
that.
Bills to pay.
Mm-hmm. So you went through this too before. So that's what you had first-hand experience with this, and then now you're giving advice, or did you just learn about this from Pride in your training?
Like I said, I had experience before because I had to go through this myself, and as well with my son. Also, sometimes I interpret for them, for the mentees, when they need interpretation. I'm on the other line on the phone. They need help. They'll go apply for, for a discount for their utility bills or for anything else. I interpret for them for any services they might need or interpretation.
How long have you been a mentor, peer mentor?
I would say a year. I would say about a year. It's been a great experience for me.
And you've been with Pride from the start?
Yes.
So in about 2 years or so, they were able to help you find housing, and maybe even less. You were basing a lot of your help on what you experienced before.
Yes.
Tedros, this question is for you. Do you have other fellow members in your cohort? Do they follow the same program as you do, or how does the program tailor to every individual participant?
I joined the Pride training program. I was a member of the second cohort.
Yeah, and how many people in your cohort? Approximately.
Wow, probably there were 2 shifts, probably around 15, between 15 and 20. I'm not sure. Katheryn can explain that.
That was exactly right, Tedros. There were 15.
Okay. One thing, just even in the cohort that I am a member in is there are different refugees. So the first thing is just for a participant to qualify for the training, what Pride asks is a simple thing. It's just people need to be allowed to work in the U.S. It's just a simple requirement. It doesn't require any educational background or whatever. So actually they try to help participants as best they can just by providing interpreters or just by looking for other means of communication. So it's really amazing. They are doing their best, and refugees arrive here with some with strong academic and employment backgrounds. They don't really know what to do here. It doesn't mean that the refugees are not able to find a job no sooner than they arrive. It doesn't mean they can't work or they didn't have any background. Everything is new here. You need someone who can guide you just the best you can be. And Pride has been trying to tailor to individual needs or even employment goals, both short-term and long-term. They have been helping us. We were discussing about employment pathways. We were building work portfolios based on our previous experiences or even based on what we want to do. And this has been done through group and individual sessions. So it's really amazing. They don't want you to come over where they are. They just come to where you are. They are everywhere in all neighborhoods and trying to alleviate all the barriers to make everything as much simple as possible, so that people needn't worry. What Pride does is it's not spoon feeding. It just helps you become the best you can. They would advise with different strategies on finding jobs or even advancing along a career path or even furthering education. They are also open to work with friends of participants or even parents or just anyone who's willing to help. The ultimate goal, be it through education or training, is gainful employment. So there have been a number of participants.
Your English is very good. Do you do a lot of any translating too?
Sometimes I do, yes. Sometimes. Unfortunately, there have not been a lot of participants who speak those languages that I understand.
What
or I
languages do
speak.
you understand now?
Basically, I am from Eritrea. It's a small country in East Africa. And I do also speak an Ethiopian language. It's a widely spoken language called Amharic.
Mm.
So I speak both languages fluently, and I try English.
Perfect. What about you, Abla? What languages do you speak? Arabic, I know.
Just Arabic and English. Trying to learn Spanish.
Okay, good.
Wow.
Is it hard? Do you find it hard?
It's okay.
Is it any resemblance at all to the Romance languages? Arabic?
That's what
Not-
they say. I don't know.
You don't see it yet.
I don't know anything about romance.
Yes, it's French, Spanish, and English, Italian. They're kind of related. Okay. So, Abla, what do you enjoy most about being a peer mentor?
You know, I think it's very rewarding that I get out there and get to help other people and see them accomplish their goals and take those steps to accomplishing their final goals as far as finding gainful employment, getting the services they want after such a long period. And also it's great to, be working with Katheryn and Rujni and Samantha. They're very, very great people. I enjoy working with them. And it's also like as a person with disability, it really helps me as well as I learn from them, also and from their experiences. And I find it very encouraging and empowering too. Also, as a person with disability, empowers me as well as other participants who have disability and gives them the encouragement and a great lookout, where yes, it's hopeful and there is hope and we can do this.
Do you see the personalities of your mentees change under your tutelage?
Yes, I do. I see them kind of, being more optimistic and more, happier and pleased, because they feel at first they're alone here, but when they meet us, they think, oh, there's hope and there's, perspective, a different perspective, and again, a different, a potential they can live up to. And opportunities they can take advantage of.
But there must be some difficulties too about being a peer mentor. Are there any?
I think the difficulty is the process takes such a long time. If we're waiting to connect them with DRS, it takes a long time.
Could you?
Department of Rehabilitation Services.
Okay.
Yeah, DRS. So it takes, the Pride helps them, open cases with DRS, and it takes a long time. And if they're waiting for a personal caregiver, also it takes a long time, or to fix their wheelchair, it takes a long time. To find employment as well takes a while. Even, the people here are having a hard time. So the people come there, even experience a harder time to finding employment. It's not, as readily available as they think it is, or as easy it is to get employment. Especially if you have a disability, we can all relate to that. See how difficult it is for people with disabilities.
Were there any times when you found a solution to overcome some of these delays?
Persistent. You have to be persistent and keep on it and continue to make phone calls to check on the participants, communicate with them all the time, because you don't want them to think that they're forgotten or you let them down. And also to keep calling DRS and calling other people, the doctors and everything, so they can get along with their case.
Do you have a difficult time establishing yourself as a person who can speak on behalf of your mentees, like for instance with the doctors or with the
sometimes
DRE?
But as I say, I'm persistent, very persistent and stubborn, so I stay on the case until we get the matter solved.
What about your fellow peer mentors? Do they have are they as stubborn as you, or do they have their other strengths?
Sometimes if they're not, we keep calling them to make sure they stay on the case and they know that they need to advocate. This program is great because it also not only shows those people that there's resources out there, but it shows them how to advocate, how they can, as well, advocate for themselves and learn, because knowledge is power, as you know. So when when you let those people know about these resources, their eyes are open, they're encouraged, they're like, wow, we didn't even know this before. A lot of people here don't even know about this, all the resources. So it's great really to know about all the resources that are available in the country that can help people who are refugees or people with disabilities.
What did you think when you arrived here and then saw that you could actually advocate for yourself or for something that matters to you in the democracy?
It feels great. It feels great. Because, as you know, like even ADA, in order to pass, people had to struggle for it. So
Yes.
everything is a struggle in this country, whether you want to, struggle for people with disabilities rights, struggle for housing, anything. Or for health insurance, all have to be a struggle. Nothing can be accomplished by just sitting down, sitting back, and waiting for other people to advocate for you.
Have you ever spoken with your congressman or?
Sure, because I'm always advocating with Access Living. We're going to Springfield and always, trying to talk to the senators or Congress people in order to advocate for the rights of people with disability and otherwise.
How about you, Tedros? Have you gotten your feet wet in some of these advocacy projects?
So currently, I'm closely working with Pride and doing my best to spread the word.
Mm-hmm.
People living with disabilities, they need to learn that there is a program which is really for them. This is probably the understanding of many participants, I would say. So it's not an overnight task, just to become employed, whether it's self-employment, some kind of entrepreneurship, or even to get a job anywhere. It really takes time. That's everywhere, just in every program, not necessarily Pride. It takes a long time, both the education and employment things. I'm glad I'm working with Pride, and I am ready to contribute to this program just as best as I can.
Have you ever done some interviews already with employers?
I am applying, and I am also working with Pride, just in identifying both the short-term and long-term goals,
Mm-hmm.
as well as...
Let's hear some of your short-term goals and your long-term goals.
Wow, I'm glad. So actually, I have a bunch of ideas. It's been years since I sat before a microphone. I myself was a journalist, by the way.
Mm.
So
You do have a very good radio presence.
Wow, thank you. So yeah, I was interviewing people, and now I am being interviewed. So
Oh,
It's great to be
Yeah.
bothering.
yeah, indeed.
sitting on the other side. Just we diverge a little bit. Who did you interview?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So in my country, I was working, for two radio stations.
Okay.
Actually, back in March 2001, then I was a university student. So together, with other students with disabilities, we launched a weekly 30-minute radio program whose aim was promoting awareness of the society toward disability. And, our show ran for well over 2 years. And so it didn't continue after 2 years. And by that time, I was a fourth-year student. And probably after 3 or 4 months, I then joined. This is in September 2003. I joined the national radio. Actually, I would say I'm the first blind journalist in my country to have worked for the national radio.
Oh,
Yeah, and
very impressive.
I worked for 5 years at the radio department, and then I was switched to the English newspaper, which is Eritrea Profile, as it's called.
He's a natural at this.
So, I have interviewed people, in different capacities, in different government offices. I was also involved in translating exclusives, including that of the president and senior, government officials. So it was fun in a way, and it was full of challenges.
That was a very productive time. Congratulations. And you were very young at that time, and you were able to take that initiative to launch a program like that. It's a good idea. I'm going to mention it to our program director. Maybe we could do something like that at the WZRD.
Wow, yeah, it's really fun. I would love to, to revisit my, my journalism career.
Well,
so that's really interesting.
Time permitting, I don't know what your schedule is like. Maybe you could help start us off. Let me see what we could do about that.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Abla, you have a very nice radio presence as well, and I wanted to ask you: do you have short-term and long-term goals?
My short-term goals is to achieve employment. Also, I would like. When I joined Pride, I kind of gave me an idea to join and apply for rehab counseling, for Master of Rehab Counseling and NEIU. So I did apply for the master program here. So that gave me the encouragement to do so, because I have the advocacy and I would like to continue with my advocacy through those channels.
You applied. Have you been accepted yet?
No, not yet. I haven't heard from them.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
And
I should know by April.
I also want to further my education. It's very important for refugees or migrants arriving in the U.S. to have U.S. education and U.S. work experience, and that really helps and broadens the opportunity of getting a better job.
Of course, so you learn culture too when you
yes. When you are employed, you are not only earning money, you are learning many things. Currently, what we are doing is we are working on my master's program.
Where is it?
It's so we are having discussion both the UIC and Northeastern.
Okay.
Pride is currently organizing an orientation, and in the meantime, thanks to Pride, there is also a leadership program, actually, which has a lot of programs under it. And I have applied for the self-advocacy program. It's called Illinois Lend.
That's the program that I was in.
Yeah, it's interesting. Can you
describe
the
acronym?
What it stands for?
Leadership, Education, Neurodevelopment. It's a great program for a year.
So I'm curious. I have already submitted my application, and both Katheryn and Rushi had a very, very big input, in polishing my application, just based on their experience. They really understand what disability means and what it's like, and how education can improve the quality of life of people with disabilities. You wouldn't believe, last time we were working on my application, it's late at night for 2 or 3 hours, like from 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. or so. So they are really devoted. I don't know, I'm short of words, honestly. So we are working on that. This is just on top of the career path. One thing that I understand just in my many years of journalism career, as well as the training at Pride, the training I took with Pride, is the fact that a person is living with disability does not mean he or she has a clear understanding what disability is. We all need some kind of empowerment, both in terms of employment as well as education. It can be just as much as the work opportunity demands, it can be enhanced by different adaptive technologies or assistive technologies.
So understanding the definition of disability helps you access the resources to work to achieve your goals based on
Yes. So
what the definition pertains to
yeah,
you?
I mean, we can see it this way. The first thing is, people can have visible and invisible
Yes.
disabilities. In both situations, people may not be willing to disclose
Mhm.
their disabilities,
Yes.
just because of their understanding. Actually, whenever you apply everywhere these days, you just see this disclaimer of whatever equal employment opportunity or whatever. It's everywhere. But as much as different referral agencies want to work with people with disabilities need to have the courage to, they needn't shy away from whatever functional limitations they do have. It's always good to address it in a way that it can empower you and become someone. Just explain or even further your cause so that you become a better person. I mean, just silence is not a solution. Trying to deal with the problem is the best way for the betterment. Disabilities, it's a very, very broad term. And what Pride does is they would provide different case studies and they would explain, and it's a very participatory program. So
Do the case studies present problems to you, and then you see how those participants resolve those problems? Because it sounds to me as if you're describing that Pride has helped you become a problem solver.
yes, that's the idea. Pride wants you to be able to develop problem-solving skills. That's one thing that Pride wants.
Because I see that in Abla as well.
Yeah, so, but on top of that, it still depends on the willingness of participants whether they want to disclose their disability or not. This is their personal, understanding and right. But it's good to know that either way is possible. And the types of disabilities, as well as employment opportunities, people with good educational and employment backgrounds can apply for competitive employments. They can still apply, given their situation, for full-time or even part-time. They can apply for light duties or like customized duties according to their situation, or even entrepreneurship, self-employment thing. These are all options that people need to understand, participants need to understand. Just putting these points per se does not really help. I mean, unless it's explained with good examples. Just John had this and this work experience. He had this and this functional limitations. What should he do? What kind of accommodation does he need? It really helps you understand. They put everything in an ordinary language because of our varied backgrounds. The presentation itself is in a very just layman language, and it's very simple that everybody can understand and participate.
I see that Abla learned to be a problem solver, just trying to get through bureaucracy. What about you, Tedros? Do you say that you did learn to become a problem solver? So, is there any example that you could give us? Because there must have been something difficult about the program somehow. And then, how did you deal with that? Did you resolve it? And because that would help our listeners get a better grasp of how the Pride program affected you.
Yeah. So, actually, one thing that I am learning is I am not the best self-advocate for myself, and this is the thing that I've been working with Pride, and that I want really to sharpen my skills in this area. That's why I have applied for this LEND program. Actually, after I arrived here, I started taking IT classes with a school. Unfortunately, the training was not very accessible, probably because they didn't have any experience previously with a person who is visually impaired. So their system was not fully accessible. So we did our best to address, the issues, and finally it didn't work. So I had to work with different organizations, and Pride has a good understanding of the situation. Of course, they have been helping me, just providing different ideas and who to talk to or who to work with, or if plan A doesn't work, how to come up with plan B. Just discussing for a viable solution, because if you always stick to plan A, you don't then have a fallback position. You need to have a fallback position, a safe net. If something goes wrong, then you need to come up with plan B. So finally, as long as we all aspire to become or to get gainful employment, we need to be able to explore different career paths. So Pride has been very helpful in that regard.
Did you sometimes have to advocate for your mentees this way? It seems as if Tedros is learning how to self-advocate, but when your mentees do not have that skill yet, do you help them along the way, teach them the ropes about how to be a self-advocate so that they could help themselves in the future?
Absolutely. Like I mentioned before, if because Pride helps them open cases with DRS,
Yes.
as well getting registered, for example, to take English classes, whether it's with Loyola University or Truman. So if they, once they open those cases with DRS, for example, or they want to get their case started, I have to advocate for them, like call for them. And when I call and advocate for them, they're on the phone for me, so they know what to do and what to say. That's how they learn.
Mm-hmm. And before, when you started as a participant, did someone advocate for you, and then you learned how to advocate for others?
I was always as an interpreter. I wasn't as a participant.
Oh, you were always.
Yes.
I see.
But I learned because, like I said, what I went through with myself, to advocate for myself, as well to advocate for my son.
Is your son in the program?
No, he's not in the program, but
Okay.
he had a stroke, so I had to help him, advocate for him for different things.
Sorry to hear about that.
Thank you.
Tedros, do you have a peer mentor?
Actually, I'm closely working with Katheryn and Pride.
Well, then Katheryn is your mentor.
They are,
Yeah, and
Katheryn.
Rushi.
Both.
Yes,
I mean,
said that.
Katheryn
You
and
mentioned
Rushi,
that.
both of them are my mentors. So
But no peer mentor as of yet.
no,
Not yet.
no, yes.
What advice would you give, Abla, to a refugee considering becoming a Pride participant?
I would encourage everyone to have, as participants, to encourage other refugees who are in similar situation to join the program. And I would encourage the people who are participants right now or have been participants never to give up and keep continuing with it. All the leads that Pride gives them, they should go through those leads and do not give up and continue with it, because they will get to their goal finally. But they have to be persistent and be patient and continue with the program and with all the leads, whether it's with education or with the DRS cases or all the leads, because Pride also connect them with employment agencies, and they should definitely continue with the employment agencies and continue to apply for jobs.
Who helps them fill out the paperwork?
There's
Learn?
different agencies that help refugees,
Okay.
such as Syrian agency or the Iraqi agencies or the Asian Human Services. Those are different agencies that help them, fill those job applications.
What about you, Tedros? What advice would you give to a prospective Pride participant?
I fully agree with Abla. It's not an overnight or a week's task to get unemployment or even to continue education. It really needs persistence as well as patience. And actually, as I said earlier, we all need to improve our skills, to use the right language, the right tools. And we all, I would say we all need to understand how the laws and policies work. And that really helps us to contribute not only to the Pride program, even beyond that. I mean, if the laws need any kind of amendment, both the laws and policies, we really need to have good understanding of the laws and policies. So that's the first thing. And we know there are laws for people with disabilities, but
like the ADA.
Like the ADA, yes. So, but the problem is, it's full of jargons, legal jargons. It's not written. I mean, programs such as Pride would help you understand it in a layman's
I agree
language.
with Tedros when he said people should know their rights and their policies out there, because if you don't really know your rights and the policies out there, you can advocate for yourself. You don't know your what resource are you able to get and you're entitled to.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not if you don't know what you're entitled to, then you're not going to go after it,
Right.
and you're not going to improve your life.
Mm-hmm. And however strong your background is back home before your arrival to the US or whatever, just being a new arrival, everyone is at a loss, honestly. We all didn't really know where to start. And programs such as Pride, actually, I would say Pride is the only program, to the best of my knowledge, that really deals with employment of refugees.
Mhm.
The first one.
Yeah, there
That's right.
are a lot of agencies, such as these different agencies working with the government for the resettlement of refugees from all over the world. I mean, the US government has been very generous and understanding when it comes to people with disabilities. Actually, the United States was one of the few countries that had open quota for refugees.
Mm.
And not only for refugees, and it has been very welcoming, even people with disabilities. So we need to be grateful for that. But, on arrival, people still need empowerment. And we really need to work on that. And unfortunately, there are no programs, there is no any just none other than Pride that I know of. And honestly, many people still complain about different resettlement agencies, and we need to be clear about this. I mean, once you are here, they wouldn't help you in any way. They have different employment counselors, but most of the employment specialists they do have are for people who can only grab entry-level jobs.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have any experience when it comes to people with disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a lot of challenge in that regard. They didn't really know which organizations to contact just to address these issues, or even how to proceed. And at some point, there is a housing issue, because the resettlement agencies would work with you for some time, probably for 3 or 4 months, and probably for not more than 6 months at best.
Wow.
And you are left in the middle of nowhere. So
You mean that they assign you to a home that is very deserted from the rest of the population, or is it the information is very hard to come by, that they leave you in limbo?
actually, that's one thing which is really worth doing a research. I honestly do not want to
It's okay.
provide any bold comment on this thing. Of course, I
That's
have
okay.
my own reservations,
Mhm.
but we still need to do a lot of research in that area.
I think there's not enough affordable housing out there for all
Absolutely.
the
Yes.
people who need it. Definitely not.
Mhm. We've seen that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Pride has helped you form your future plans, and then any final advice to new participants and other people that would benefit from what you are doing, and that Would you encourage for people to follow in your footsteps, Abla, as a peer mentor? And
Absolutely.
mhm.
And I would encourage new participant to join the program, but it's because it's great. It opens door for you and allows you to learn about all these different resources that are out there that can be helpful to you and that you're not able to access. So it'll be great to join, and it opens a lot of doors for you if you want to be educated, find employment, or get a personal caregiver, find housing, anything.
Do you have any members of the community or students that volunteer with you or help you? Do you have any advice for potential volunteers here or potential people who might want to work for Pride?
I think it's great to volunteer because it gives you new perspective and experiences, and you'll learn from other people's experiences as well. And this is going to help you in the long run, and in your long terms, and in your education purposes, and in your employment as well.
So you have seen volunteers work with Pride.
Yes.
And what are their tasks? What do they do?
Job opportunities at UIC with Katheryn and Ruji, and some do come join our groups and interpret as well.
Okay. And what languages, such as what languages? Because we do have a very diverse student population at Northeastern, and there might be some students who are interested in helping interpret. So what languages?
So for our first groups, which Abla is the peer mentor for, are Arabic speakers and also English speakers like Tedros. We are going to have a group in the future of French speakers and also Amharic, we hope. So we would welcome students to be volunteers for Arabic, because we have another group happening soon with Arabic speakers. And then also coming up in probably May, we'll need more volunteers who speak French and also Amharic.
What is the population of Amharic residents in Chicago? Do you have any idea?
Tedros can speak to that possibly.
One thing I understand is there is a large Ethiopian community here. It's an Ethiopian language. So one thing we need to be sure of is the presence of many people living with disabilities who still need empowerment or guidance, whatever assistance Pride can provide. So the first thing we need to do is just spread the word, which I'm currently doing in my community and in different communities. And we all need to work on that, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in our communities, just in the refugee communities.
So you and Pride, such as you and Rusha or you and Katheryn, will go into the communities and then have some forums with.
No, it can be informal. It doesn't necessarily have to be done formally. So it can be just at a coffee ceremony or what have you. It's very common in different African and Asian communities that coffee ceremony is a great event.
I think also, as people who identify with disabilities, I think we represent good examples for the community. So when these people see persons like us, and we have disability and we're able to make it, and we're doing good, it's a good example for them, and to make them have hopes and optimistic about their situation as well, and gives them hope.
Yeah, we all need hope.
And encouragement.
Right.
And empowerment. Yeah.
I think that Abla and Tedros and the work of Pride is very inspiring to the community, and I hope that the word gets out there, and then you have more participants, more peer mentors, and much more further success in Pride and with the new grant.
I also want to thank you for having us and help us spreading the word. Thank you very much. You're doing a great service too for us.
Indeed, this is a great service to the program, and actually Pride needs support from just not only from volunteers, but it also needs support from even funders. We really need to see this program continuing. It shouldn't be just a pilot program. It should be able to help to as many people as it can. And I would really love to see this program growing and become a national program. So it really needs support from just everyone, from all agencies, individuals, just with all the means and resources they do have.
Imperative for them in order to continue get the grant that they need.
Right.
That'd be great.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank
This is WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM. And we had with us today Abla, peer mentor at Pride, Tedros, participant at Pride, and Katheryn, the program director of Pride. And Pride stands for Partners of Refugees in Illinois Disability Employment. Thank you.